Students, now we'll see the next portion in the fifth module, that is theory of columns. As you all know, a column is a vertical structural member subjected to loads, compressive loads. When the load is applied along the axis of the column, it is known as axial load. That is, if this is a column, if you are applying the load along its axis, it is called axial load. And if this is a column and this is the axis of the load, axis of the column, and if you are applying the load P at a distance E, and which is parallel to the axis of the column and at a distance apart from the axis, then it is known as eccentric loading, and this is axial loading. Now we have two types of columns, that is short column and long column. Short column and long column, the basic difference is depending upon the slenderness ratio, that is L/D ratio, and based upon the failure mechanism. Short column fails by crushing of concrete, that is due to compressive action, and long columns fails by buckling. Okay, these are the two main differences between the short column and long column. First, we'll see what is short column. So, when the load acts along the axis, there are two conditions of when the load is acting along the axis, it is known as axial loading, and that is, this is along the axis. Now we have the other condition, that is considering a short column. This is the axis of the loading and we are considering an eccentric loading. P is acting at a distance E from the axis, and this is eccentric loading. So this from the axial loading, the stress induced will be only compressive stress, which is equal to P by A. Okay, which is equal to P by A. And in the case of axial loading, there will be only compressive stresses acting. But in this case, there will be both tensile and compressive stresses acting. There will be tensile sigma T and there will be compression sigma C, if the case is for an eccentric loading. So, for axial loading, the stress will only be sigma C, compressive stress, which is equal to P by A. But for eccentric loading, there is an overturning moment here due to the eccentric load P. So, there will be a bending stress given sigma B, given by M by Z, where M is the load into eccentricity, which is M is equal to PE. So, the total stress will be sigma C plus sigma B, which is equal plus or minus, which is equal to P by A plus or minus M by Z, where M is equal to PE. M is equal to PE, where P is the axial load and E is the eccentricity. So, this is the total stress. So, minimum compressive stress will be given by sigma C minus sigma B, and the maximum stress will be sigma C plus sigma B. The next term is kern of a section. Kern of a section is the region in the cross section of a short column such that when eccentric load acts within this region, the tensile stress will not develop anywhere in the cross section of the column. The shape of the kern of section depends upon the shape of cross section of the column. That means there will be no tensile stress even if the eccentric loading is acting. So, your minimum compressive stress is given by sigma minimum is equal to P by A minus M by Z, or which is equal to, that is if P by A is less than M by Z, this term will be positive. Sigma minimum, if P by A is greater than, suppose this is sigma B, sigma C direct stress, and this is sigma B. So if sigma B is less than sigma C, then sigma minimum will be positive and compressive stress will be, sigma minimum will be positive, so it will be compressive. Okay, then if sigma B equal to sigma C, also sigma minimum will be positive and the stress will be compressive. But if sigma B is greater than sigma C, if sigma B is greater than sigma C, then sigma minimum will be negative and the stress will be tensile in nature. So in order that it should be tensile, it should not be tensile, this two conditions only should be there. This condition should not be there. So that is the kern. That means the condition is that sigma C or sigma C must be greater than or equal to sigma B. From these two conditions, sigma C must be greater than or equal to sigma C. So the minimum condition is that sigma C is equal to sigma B. That means P by A is equal to M by Z or is equal to PE by Z. When you cancel P and P, we get E is equal to Z by A. So this is the condition, E is equal to Z by A.